John Conti, are you in your kitchen?
Yeah, and my kitchen that's going to be destroyed here another month.
Uh-oh, I can see the copper pots behind you.
Yeah, this is the 80s look.
Ah.
My wife is going to get rid of.
John Conti, are you in your kitchen?
Yeah, and my kitchen is going to be this has been an ongoing thing. This is 70 grand to do this kitchen.
Oh, you got that money in the bank.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, that's money I could use on guns or fixing the truck.
Ammo.
Ammo, there you go.
I heard you old timers are out there destroying my new ranges.
Oh, well, you just put a little dirt on the stone. It was nothing.
Uh-huh.
None of us out there. Todd saw us. He didn't say no.
As long as you didn't shoot the backers apart.
No, there were no backers. Now we set up a CMP guys got together.
Yeah.
Bernstein came by today to check some things for CMP, and I gave him a ride on the red truck. He was very happy. He was, you know, he's got that '69 Vet that he bought new, and he's had it all these years. He had a bolt that was holding a bracket down, sheared off, blew off into the fan blades, hit the shroud, hit the radiator,
Oh,
hit everything. So he got a new blade, original, $500 just for a blade.
So I don't want to interrupt you guys, but I'm looking at our attendee list. Dean, I have a Dean in the attendee room. If that's Dean Diddell, you used the wrong link to get into the meeting, my friend. Go back to your email and use the one that was sent to you to get on the participant list. Actually, hold on. Let's do this. I'm just going to do this. Let's see.
Hey, Rich.
I just brought him in manually.
Yeah.
Are you there, Dean?
Okay. What I had to do was I clicked on it, and then there was a tab at the bottom that came open. That was there, just a real small tab. I clicked on that, then it let me in.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
It might be one on yours. I don't remember what it said on mine.
Dean Diddell, is that you?
That's me.
All
Can you
right.
hear me?
We got.
Okay.
I hear you, but I got no video.
Kill the.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty secret here.
Tell me what you got.
Secret squirrel.
Yeah, you don't have to go in.
No?
I might be anonymous tonight. New computer system.
Is there a button there for preparing meeting? Okay. Because what I had, that long link.
I have video on. I have mute on.
No, you have video on and you have mute
Yeah.
off.
We still hear you, Dean. You just are all black. No video.
It's not a protest.
Yeah. You know why? Somehow his camera's closed and he just doesn't quite understand it. Hold on. How's that?
There you go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
How's that? Hi.
Good.
All right.
Must have been an article I read about security years ago.
Dean's back home from his bug out location.
I don't know where you're gonna put it.
Hey, Dean, I didn't know your daughter was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Eric, Ron said he texted you, but
He
he's
did.
work.
Yeah, I got it. He's the only person I know that said they weren't coming.
Rich is trying to get in. He's having issues. He's on the phone with John. And I don't know about Glenn.
Email.
Glenn's been late a couple of times. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Some
Hang on a second. Eric, I've got Rich on the phone. I'm going to leave for a minute here and try and get him to hook up. He's having issues also.
All right.
All right, Rich, I got you on speaker. Let me go back onto the email here. Hang on a second.
You would think by now this would be getting easier.
You would think.
No.
All right.
My second graders do this at school now, so.
Well, good. Next month, send us each a second grader.
At the end of the days.
Well, working on the reopening of school has been really challenging. Yeah, the state is giving very little direction on what they're going to expect.
Of course. And then after you do it, they'll complain you didn't do it.
And they'll change what they want.
Right.
Well, we're getting 2 and 3 revised administrative orders a week from the various counties. And I'm only worried about the ones in the northern quarter of the state. You know, we get one Monday that gets revised on Wednesday, gets modified on Thursday. And it's like, okay, can we figure out a way to keep this all going, you know, and make a decision?
The notes section.
There's Glenn.
I'll try that.
He's still on mute. We don't have a picture, but we got his name.
Mike Smith's not answering his phone. Did somebody else take the minutes tonight?
Yeah, I guess I could do it.
Thanks, Bill.
You're the most experienced, Bill.
I got it.
Thanks.
I talked to Eric. Eric?
Send it to Don347 at Gmail.
Okay. Eric?
You need me to resend the invite to Rich?
Yeah, LM, something that one there, that email.
Hold on.
He can't, he's having problems with it.
If he just, well, hold on. His Gmail address, rasmith345@gmail.com.
No,
Eric,
Yeah.
I just got an email. I mean, it's got a text from Glenn. He's in some kind of room. You need to add him in.
Oh, he's not. I already added him. He's sitting. You see him right
Sorry.
there. He was in the attendee room when I brought him in.
Okay.
talking about Rich?
No.
No, Glenn.
All right. Eric, I have the email.
Glenn just needs to unmute himself on audio and video. You got to click the microphone and the camera, Glenn.
Roger.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey.
Glenn.
Are we supposed to be wearing masks for this?
Oh, damn. I forgot mine.
Just don't rub your nose, Ed.
All right, LM Smith. All right.
Did you get my email, John?
I've got an email address, another one for Rich. You can try. Maybe we can get it to work. You ready?
Oh, hold on. Give it to me.
All right. LM Smith.
Yeah.
347
Yeah.
at Gmail.
All right. Reset.
All right. Rich is resending it.
Worst case, John, if he goes to the Facebook page and clicks that link, I can promote him up and get him in.
Okay.
Oh, there's Mike Smith.
Oh,
Bill, you're saved.
Oh, yeah, cool.
we'd already handed off your responsibilities, Mr. Smith.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. He'll drop out of the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, it's good seeing everybody again.
Yeah.
Sorry, fellas.
All right, I'm going to give Rich 3 more minutes and then we're going to start. I don't
Rich?
won't be here all night.
Yeah. You coming in?
What about Jonathan?
Don't know. As far as I know, he was coming, but I haven't heard from him.
I tried texting him a couple of times a little earlier today. I hadn't heard anything back from him.
Was that Trice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I texted him as well.
I'll tell you what we can do. I can leave it on the audio on here. Hear it. If you want to speak up, you can do that. But you can do it joining in the room. Also, he'll join in over there. We'll try and do that. All right. So hang on. Eric,
Yeah.
We heard.
Rich is having a hard time getting in. So if you could put him in a room, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the iPhone here and he can hear everything. If he's going to say something, he'll be right there.
All right. Did he try going to the Facebook page?
He's going to try that now.
All right.
We need to get him one of them old people keyboards with the giant keys.
Just remember, Mike, make fun of him at your own risk.
I can
I
outrun.
hear you, by the way, Mike.
Polk's keyboard's in Sanskrit, right?
Hey, Mike Polk, who's older, you or Rich Smith?
Mr. Smith.
Were you at D-Day?
No.
But Matt Jameson's there right now, isn't he?
No, they were there last year.
Last
Oh,
year.
okay.
There
I
for
saw it on Facebook. I
75.
didn't think they were there.
No.
No, Mike was at Gettysburg.
Vicksburg. I fought with Grant.
I went to school with Lincoln.
All right.
Well,
I'm gonna get started here. I'll keep my eye open for Rich. If I see him pop in, I'll add him in.
All righty.
All right. We call the meeting to order at 7:15. For those of you watching, I apologize for the delay. Can I get a roll call, Mr. Smith?
Rich, you can hear everything, right?
Mike Polk,
Here.
Mike Smith here, Glenn Byers,
Here.
Trice. No Trice. Ron,
No.
no Ron. Bucolic,
Here.
Stainer, Conti,
Yo.
Dean,
Here.
Ed,
Here.
Tony Jarris,
Yeah.
Bill Jones,
Here.
Rich Smith.
He's
No,
listening.
Here,
He's listening with Conte.
He's mostly here.
All right, Todd
Yo.
and Bill Vest.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Before we get started, we've got 2 folks in the room. Does anybody have a comment that they would like to share with the board while you're in here? You can type that in the Q&A box. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do that. While they're doing that, we'll come back and see if anybody types anything in there. I guess I'll get started just so we don't waste any time. In terms of litigation on the Roof Road property, I think I forwarded you guys some emails earlier in the week about that. We are expecting a closing on the 30th of the month. That's not an official. That's not a hard lock date in, but that's what Mr. Scantlin from Chuck's office told me that I should be expecting. I've been working with Tuan to get all that paperwork in order. Glenn sent me some stuff. I think we're good to go there as far as I know. Right, Glenn?
Right.
So it's really just a matter of kind of getting the closing done at this point. So once I have that date, I will definitely share it with you folks. I don't see any questions in the Q&A, so I'm going to assume there are none. Does anybody have any questions about the litigation or the closing on that property? Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, did we work out getting that revised assessment or whatever we needed for Tuan?
Revised assessment.
Appraisal.
Yes. Appraisal. Yes. That was the guy came out. Actually, he scheduled a date, had to cancel. He made another date, but he did come out with Ross, and there were not any issues.
That's done, though?
That's done. Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, I want to say that was done a week ago Monday. Anything else on that? Then moving along, Sugar Grove. Again, as you guys should have gathered from some of the paperwork I shared with you, that is moving kind of in a couple of directions. Number one, I'm going to be out there tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting Russ and the new owner on site, along with Ragnar, to try to set the start date and kind of review the scope work to be completed this summer. So that's number one. I guess maybe I should have put number two as number one. Number two is there is a new owner of the property. And actually, I just found that out Monday or Tuesday this week. I got a call from Russ saying the property was purchased, and they had to rework a new access agreement that is actually going back and forth. It's been revised. I'm just waiting to get the final go ahead from Chuck. I bet you I get that tomorrow or Monday would be my guess. But the new owner seems very amenable to allowing us to continue to access what we need to access through their property. Additionally, I sent you a copy last week, I believe, of the access agreement from the Park District, which really is only a factor for us once our work is complete, so we can continue to access the site and do the monitoring that we're required to do. Right. So it really involves getting mowers in there and cutting some lawn here and there, and taking some soil samples. So that piece is done. We're waiting on just the new agreement with the new owner.
Who is the new owner?
You asked me that last night, and I'd have to actually go in the paperwork. I want to say it's JT Enterprises or something like that.
Yeah, it's some investment group or something like that.
Yeah.
Do they know what they're going to do with it? I mean, do they?
I did not ask. I don't care. But the interesting thing that came up in my discussion with Russ was, he goes, "Oh, this is really good for you guys, because now it takes all the liability off of you." I said, "What are you talking about? We haven't owned the property for years." He goes, "Yeah, but apparently at one time there was talk that if Ragnar went bankrupt and didn't remediate the property, it could fall back on us."
Oh,
I had never heard that before.
I am aware of that simply because it becomes an EPA Superfund site, and then the EPA will go all the way back up the chain until they find enough money to get to try and recompense themselves. And if they don't, then the feds pay for it.
Oh, all right. So, but that was kind of news to me. So that's obviously good news for us.
Yeah.
But based on my conversations with Russ, they anticipate starting work, if all things go well, July 1st.
Yeah, so we've only lost 3 months this year.
yeah.
Which honestly, obviously it's been wet anyway, kind of like last year, but I never understood the whole argument about the COVID thing, because construction is a critical
essential business,
right? So I didn't get that, but they weren't working apparently either. So any other questions about the Sugar Grove property? I'm trying to feed you those documents as they become available. Hearing. Just a couple things about the hearing. I know a couple of you were on the call. Todd and I obviously were participating. It went good, right? Good to very good, maybe. I think our narrative was very well received. I think we set up kind of our philosophy fairly well. Todd and I had gone over our kind of technical stuff with Kevin beforehand. We gotten the questions from the county beforehand. So we had written answers for all those things. Todd did a great job of kind of just going down the list and punching those things out. And in the end, the county had no questions for us kind of once that was all done. We did have a number of area residents come into the call. We had a couple letters submitted with concerns primarily about noise and light pollution. So that is something that we may have to address in our committee meeting that is coming up on the 25th, right?
How did it,
Or I always forget if it's the 24th or 5th. I got it on my calendar.
how did it go last night?
The 24th. We'll talk about that all in close because it deals with legal
Okay.
strategy.
All right.
All right. But in general, we seem to be on track. There may be some negotiations in there. One of the things that did come up publicly was regarding our starting hours. We obviously don't start shooting until 8 o'clock. And the question was asked, well, since that, that's what your practice is anyway, would you mind having that ensconced in the rules and in the ordinance? And we said we would have no objection to that. It's what we intend to do anyway. So it's nice when we can kind of have some of those items that are good faith items that really don't impact the way we operate anyway. So hopefully there's a few more of those things if we need to do some horse trading. Anything else you want to add, Todd?
No, we'll cover the rest of it in closed session.
All right. And I think that is all I have right now. Vice President, any report?
I sent you the language for the motion for Saturday, figuring that way Mike could have it in advance and not have to try and figure out on the range what we were doing. With respect to education programs, the IDNR has still not lifted the prohibition on hunter education and hunter safety classes. So we're probably going to kick the one that's coming up in 2 weeks, if for no other reason than I can't, it's going to be at this point, we have more than 40 people registered for the field day. And since we're still at 20 and we won't hit more than 20 until probably July, I'm probably going to have to reschedule that. And we still haven't decided if we're going to be running basic safety introduction classes between now and a little later. I don't think we're going to be running the one in June. That's it.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
you got my email as far as trying not to end up in a conflict with the basic firearm class and the range safety checks?
Yep. That's
Okay.
what we're trying to coordinate now.
Okay, thank you.
Did you get the email from the guy who was, there was a guy on Facebook tonight who said he sent an email to membership on the 3rd and had gotten a response and wanted somebody to call him. He also said he had a badge issue. And I've gotten a couple of emails from people that I have referred to you wanting to know that they've submitted their applications and haven't, and wanted to know what the next step was.
You have to keep in mind when they submit an application, they get an acknowledgement that tells them what's coming.
Yeah, I figured that, Tony. You're incredibly well organized when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well, the issue is a common issue. They don't read past the first sentence of the first paragraph.
Of course not.
Yeah, we had some of those issues at Two Gun this last weekend as well. People like to show up after the safety brief starts and then get mad when they can't shoot. So that's a common problem. Read the emails. Treasurer.
I sent out the financial statement. I had one question on it, and that was the makeup of the professional fees. Was it all Chuck Pavicic? It wasn't. About 15,000 of it was Chuck. The rest was Intech.
The rest was what? Oh, Intech?
Intech.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, our legal fees, and I know Chuck generally runs behind in his billing anyway, but last 3 months, I'm telling you, we've really been rolling up the legal fees between the house and the lead and the COVID stuff. I bet you I talk to Chuck twice a week.
Well, the thing we need to watch out for is he waits until, if he waits until the third quarter and then decides he's going to bill us for the last 12 months, we might not have the money.
Yeah. It might be worth reaching out to him on that, Glenn, and seeing kind of what that back number is and arranging a time. Because I know he's generally is willing to work with us on when that stuff hits to make it easy on us.
Yeah, I can do that.
Anybody else have questions about the financial report?
Well, how about on the refi?
So let's stick to just the financial report right now. We'll get to the refi. Refi's on here as an item. Anything on just the general report? Who's got a train?
Me.
Oh, all right. Can you mention just a little bit about that workman's comp audit, Glenn? Because that was news to me, and I don't know if anybody else is aware of that either. So just to educate people.
Oh, we do that every year. What happens with workman's comp insurance is every year you pay an estimate because, of course, they don't know what your actual payroll is going to be till the year's over. So you pay an estimate, and then at the end of the year, they true it up and adjust your premium to what your actual payroll was. We've been doing that every year for years.
All right.
Yeah, I get about half my payment back after my audit.
Yeah. And it's fine. I got a call from a gentleman out of the blue. Apparently he had been trying to contact Dave and eventually somehow got around to me, and we were running short on time and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, and he's like, you need to send me all this stuff. I'm like, who are you? I'm not sending you anything. But
yeah, it's
anyway.
all done. He was a real nice guy. He actually used to live near the club, so he was familiar with the place.
All right, so cool. That was just an education for me. Refi. Any news other than what I've already reported?
I haven't heard anything else. No.
Did you have a specific question, Todd?
Well, they said they were going to need a new environmental study or something like that.
They did that.
Yep, they did. That was to my knowledge.
We're waiting on the new appraisal now.
That was the second part of it.
Copy.
But he's been out and done the appraisal, I believe. Isn't that correct?
Have you seen it?
I have not seen the paperwork, but I believe the gentleman was out and did his on-site work. I believe that's true. But I've not seen any paperwork. No,
I have not either.
So, all right. Anything else on those items? Secretary?
Nothing from me.
All right. Going back to Mr. Polk's earlier comment, I did forward you through his email. That is going to be his intended motion on Saturday, just so you don't have to worry about scrambling and writing it. Facilities, Ross is not here, but he asked that Todd do an update on all the work.
Okay, so over the last couple of weeks, we've done some drainage work. We're down to all the 25-yard bays. They're complete. So everything except of the very north covered 50 bay, from those 50-foot bays down to the last 25-yard bays have all been, we've put stone in at the target line. And on these last 3 bays, we put a 4-inch drain pipe connecting all of them together, emptying out into the beehive or the manhole that's in the corner of the 25-yard bay. Ross has got railroad tie backers up on the first 25-yard bay. He'll get to the other 2 bays, which John and Rich were putting copious amounts of dirt on our fresh stone. And he'll get that stuff up here pretty quick. It all came in together really well. We're happy with the way it went. Some of the blocks on the bottom of those walls are really deteriorating. When we went to take the walls apart to get the drain pipe down at the very back there, we had a couple of them just crumble. I just pulled the rebar out of one of them and the other one just disintegrated.
Is that an indicator just of the quality of the concrete, Todd, or you think just water is getting into them and freezing and expanding on them?
I think it's age, and I think that's it. Certainly not salt, because it's not a road issue. We're not throwing salt anywhere. So I think it's, that at some point in time, there's separation, there's a crack, and you get water freeze thaw, and that's the issue. So we'll just have to keep an eye on them.
The good news is we get them free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at the budget for, now we're doing this drainage work because we're also doing berm work along with it. And what we found out as we've been doing some work is that these berms are just acting like giant sponges and they're holding a ton of water. And anytime we go to do anything, it's not uncommon for us to have running water coming through the work area because of the amount of water that's being held back there. And so it's creating an issue, hence why we're putting the drain pipe in to try to do that, which you kind of go over to the 600 when we were refurbishing that road. There's a couple areas that started getting soft on us. We undercut them. We put a base in, back and filled them in with 3-inch stone. But what we found is that side berm there is holding a tremendous amount of water. And it's all getting into the road. That's why the road failed the first time. We couldn't figure it out. Now we've seen it. So with that, Ross is looking. He's had one guy come out already for a tile guy to see about dropping a tile in alongside the north edge of the road. So in between the berm and the road. Now his matrix, when he was talking to us, is that for every foot he goes in the ground, he pulls from 10 feet of either side of that pipe. He wants to get 4 feet in the ground for a majority of it. So he would be pulling, 40 feet in each direction to suck up water. And the idea would be to run that down to about where the target shed is, turn south and pipe it into the beehive that's at the corner of the 600. So all that water we'd be constantly pulling it out, which I think will, have an impact on, getting that water out of there is going to help the berms. It's certainly going to help the back berm. It's going to help the road. It's going to help everything. So we've got some cleanup work to do on the 600. The road is in. It is more than usable right now. It's level. It's good. It just isn't above grade or higher with a crown in it like we want to kind of finish it out at the end of the day. We've got about $18,000 in stone in it right now. And watching the budget with Ross, we're trying to work on that. So the next plan is to get and haul all the spoil off in between the road and the berm so that if we decide to do something with this tile, Ross and I have costed it out. If this guy comes in anywhere close to 10 grand or below, I say just let him do it. It'll go faster and be easier than us trying to do it. We can do it. It's going to be slower. And at that price point, it's really not worth our time.
Does he trench it or does he do as a directional bore and just pull it?
6-inch, he's probably trenching. I don't think he's going to bore 6-inch. And he's going to try to carry a grade. He didn't realize there was 14 feet of differential on that range. So he'll probably be like 2 feet, 2.5 feet down by the target shed, but 4 feet up at the other end to try to get it as much as he can. We rented a roller this past week to beat in the 600 road. We hit the shotgun road, shotgun parking lots. Thanks, Bill, for getting out there and rolling those. We did some work where we're doing up on the ranges. We used it on the drainage work we were doing. We hit the action road. We've been doing a bunch of stuff there. So it was well worth the time for us to have that. And then we got the 200 berm pushed up. So everything is off the inside of the range. It's higher. We've got all that stuff pushed up. So it's pretty much ready for grass seed or something now. And then the last thing is, Dean had said he'd been having some issues with some flooding when we get some heavy rains back at the southwest corner of Sporting Clays. So we got in there the other day and we found out where the water's coming in. We knew it was going out, and we cut in a new swale or a ditch to try to have all that water stay in there and not come up and onto the Sporting Clays course. So we got that in. Looks like it's working pretty well. Those are the big things. The one downside is Harley was out using the John Deere tractor to do some mowing. Something went wrong and they blew a hole in the transfer case. Don't know what it's going to cost to fix, but there's a hole the size of your fist in the bottom of that transfer case. So we'll see. Ross is working on getting some estimates on that.
All right.
How old is that piece of equipment?
We bought it when we moved out there.
So 10 years old, roughly. Was it new?
Yes.
So until we know what it costs, it's hard to decide what to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I saw the picture of it. It's pretty big.
Well, I didn't see the picture of the hole, but I did see the oil drop on the gravel road.
Big drop.
Yeah, Harley says the hydraulic fluid worked much better than the Roundup at killing the grass.
That is trail,
What's that, Dean?
trail roundup around the whole property.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I will say I've been out to the range the last 3 Saturdays for one reason or another. And the bays have been excellent. Even after those heavy rains, you know, the ground was soft, but not muddy, which, I mean, we're an outdoor range. It's never going to not be soft after rain, but you saw very little of that standing water. The only area that I'm aware that we have as a standing water concern at this point is going to be Bay 6, E6, right? And it kind of collects on the south end there, but it's pretty minimal. It's on the list. We'll get to it, but I'd really want to get these west side ranges squared away, and it's doing great. Who's been out there helping you, Todd? I just want to acknowledge those folks.
Oh, well, Bill Roberts has been out there. Gary's been out there. Bob Sumpke has been out there. So we've had a pretty good run of it.
Bob's out there,
push
right?
the berm up, but when I do, it doesn't just wave at you. It stands up and flips you off. Bob's the guy that makes it look all pretty and all that. And he's the real finish guy. So it's his work on the 200.
When we were out there last night, you look at that 200, and I was giving Todd the business. I go, I know it was Bob that did that finish work. It wasn't you.
Hey, I admit it.
I mean, there's not a ripple on that thing. It looks awesome.
Hey, just so you know, Todd, somebody was driving on your 200-yard road today.
Yeah, all right. I'll get to that, but maybe Bob was complaining about the way the 200 was looking, that berm, and I had to remind him, once there's a foot of grass on it, nobody's going to see it. Now, the only other issue we got water on the west side really is the 100, the north side of the 100. Depending on how the budget goes on the berm money, the plan is to keep moving down. We'll see about the 50 in the north side of the 100. But what I'm probably going to do is if we get to the 100, I'm going to cut a hole in the berm where that one pipe is. And we're probably going to replace all of that and just go straight on through. But that depends, because the minute we get our permits, if everything goes right on our hearing and our special use amendment, then we'll shift gears. So I told Ross he's got until the permits show up to knock out what we want to knock out.
All right. Any questions for Todd? Construction, John's not here. I can tell you that a number of us had a virtual meeting the other night, just finalizing up the plans for the west side and the shotgun building. Dean had a couple small requests that we talked about. just in terms of a light in one area and considerations for getting Wi-Fi over onto Sporting Clays so that when we are able to go to that electronic payment system that we're able to do that over there. So those are things that were put on the roadmap to see if we can accommodate. I'm going to get, if you guys don't know, Mike Leger, our tech guy, he does Wi-Fi for a living. That's his day job. So we have a good resource, I think, to help us out with that. The real question is going to become whether it's better to tap into the electric that's over there already or run it solar. So that all got on the radar, and I think it's still our intention to try to get those permits in so that we can get them get working as soon as we can. The hope is August 1st, Todd, is that right? Is that kind of our wish?
Yeah, we're trying, John and I are trying to finalize the stuff from the hearing because there's things from the hearing that need to go into some adjustments on the plan. And depending if there's anything else that the county's going to come up with, because we'd rather not keep going back to the engineer and changing shit. We'd like to kind of have one and done so we can turn in for our site development plan. And at the same time, you know, John's getting the last minute changes with the architect for the buildings so we can go in and put those in. So, yeah.
Cool. Membership. I'm going to share your screens here, Tony.
Okay,
So
great.
You guys are probably going to lose the grid here in a second. Well, we do a share screen. And let's do this. All right, you guys see that?
No.
Oh, I've got a mini screen with everybody's picture on it and the three of us on the side.
Anything with membership report?
No. Unless you scroll down.
All right, then I picked.
No, we had a YouTube thing.
Then I picked the wrong screen. Hold on. Let's try this.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
My bad. I run 3 screens at home, so I just picked the wrong thing.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Tony.
2 topics, applications, and then the revised new member process. As far as the open apps, I think you guys have seen this numerous times. The interesting thing is so far in 2020 we have 190 open applications. Prior to the shutdown, when we canceled the last 3 orientations in March and April, we had 120 applicants scheduled to attend those orientations. Will all 120 of those sign up this time? My guess is probably not. Hopefully the lion's share of them do. The positive is from the time that we basically stopped registering applicants for the orientations that were canceled, we've had somewhere around 115 new applications come in. All right, next slide.
So I just want to comment about that, Tony. Probably the #1 email that I get that's not about some kind of legal crap is from people who have applied saying, when are you guys going to start up again? I need to get in. So right,
Yep.
there's a good amount of people out there who are dying to get in.
And you're absolutely correct. I get probably 2 or 3 of those every day, and
yep.
And right now, I'm telling them we're probably going to start up within the next 2 weeks, and the response is great. Okay, from an applicant standpoint, you can see that back in April, we were getting less than 1 a day. In May, we picked up 43, which is a significant increase. And so far, this is what, the 11th day of June. We have 24 applications already by the 11th of June.
All right.
All right is right. They are coming in, and no sooner they send it in, they send a follow-up email saying, "Hey, thanks for the info, but when are you going to start?" And the answer is, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Next slide. The revised new member process, we were not going to wait until JB opened this up again to be able to bring in 45 or 50 applicants in. So we are developing an online drone tour. Eric, I sent you the edited video.
I saw that. I have not looked at it yet.
Okay. It's probably on the order of 25 minutes, which is the duration of the tour. We're going to be working on the audio for that probably this weekend. Okay, the online orientation is a PowerPoint show, and it's going to be placed on a website yet to be determined by the tech team. Okay,
Is that still something you need me to do a voiceover for?
We need a voiceover for the drone tour. Yes.
All right. So let me know.
Well, I actually had okay. Let me go back to the drone tour.
All right.
There was no problem soliciting the father of the drone pilot, Mr. Swiston, to do that. But his request was, you need to give me a storyboard. And my question was, what the hell is a storyboard? The answer is, what do you really want me to fly, and et cetera, et cetera. So I had a volunteer that volunteered to do that.
Okay.
And he also volunteered to do the verbiage for the drone tour, and that volunteer is Greg Pectus.
All right.
Okay. The online orientation, as soon as that goes online, the invites to probably 220 or 230 applicants will go out immediately, and they're going to be on their honor to go through that orientation, and I'll get back to that. Once they tell us, yep, we're familiar with the orientation and we're ready for the interview, this is where this group comes into play. The telephone board member interview, and those of you that looked at the handout have probably already seen the sheet. The question here, well, maybe I'll hold off answering that question because it might get people riled up a little bit. Once that interview is done and that applicant is acceptable, okay, the interviewer will let membership know, and membership will then have Eventbrite send out the actual reservation invite that says, here are the days and here are the times. Okay, we've spent a lot of time with Rich and John Conti going over this, because this is the only place where these applicants will be congregating. We're doing a staggered schedule on an hourly basis. The first orientation day, we're actually doing an hour and a half in between, with the expectation we're going to have to probably smooth out some rough edges in the flow. We're going to have two ranges reserved. One with social distancing for the on-range orientation, and then the one right next to it for the actual range safety check, where no, the range safety checker is not going to be standing 6 feet away from this clown that's holding a gun for the first time. Those guys will probably end up having to be suited up with gloves and masks, and taking all the other precautions. Once they pass the range safety check, they'll be directed back to the office for picture taking and payment. Any questions on this so far? Next slide. This is the first slide of the orientation. And it basically says, please be advised that there will be a quiz on the contents of this orientation during the board member interview. Okay, and the board member will end up having to determine, hey, did this guy really review this orientation, or did he sleep through it or coast through it? Next slide. That's kind of the flow diagram. Online tour, online orientation, board member interview, online range orientation, live fire range safety check, and then pick and pay. What's next? This is,
Question?
Yes,
Go.
that online orientation question. Why can't we set that up like they do when you go get your boater certificate, where you get a ticket and you have to go do the safe driving thing where you watch a little bit, then you have to answer a question.
thank you for volunteering.
Very good.
I'm just asking, is that something that?
I'm quoting Ed Janka. Thank you for volunteering. That would really be great. And maybe that's the next revision on this thing if we continue to do it this way. Right now, I feel we're out of time.
I got you.
Okay. Next slide. This is the last slide in the orientation. Schedule a board member interview. They will send an email to readyforinterview@aurorasc.org, entering their name first and last as submitted on the application. And then they're going to wait for a phone call from you.
Are we going to get a list of the people that submitted this or what?
Cool your jets, Ed. It's in a later slide.
Oh, okay.
Okay, scroll up a little bit. This is the actual interview form, and I don't know if you guys can read it. The first 9 questions are related to the orientation, and it's going to be up to you depending on how they're answered. If you do not feel comfortable that the individual has actually reviewed the orientation, basically tell them go back, reread it, and resubmit your request for an interview. If you're comfortable with the applicant's knowledge of the orientation, continue on, and those are the standard questions from the old interview form. Scroll down a little bit more, Eric. Okay, acceptable, hold. And if you have any recommendations for a department, a lot of guys will say, hey, I'm interested in CMP or interested in RSO. Feel free to hit those boxes. What's next? Scroll. Real quick, thanks for adjusting that form to allow more room for making notes on it. Yeah, I had to put some of those shorter questions in a second column, but I did take your comments to heart, John. All right. Thanks, Tony. Okay. What will the board member get for the interview? The applicant's data as submitted in an application. It will be in tabular form. Okay, everybody understand tabular form? It's going to go across the page versus a printed copy. It will have the name, personal data, including the spouse, the profession, all the contact info. At the tail end is all of the Stripe confirmation numbers, payments, et cetera, which I'm not going to take the time to purge that off. There is no credit card info on there, so nothing's being jeopardized. You'll also have the FOID expiration date. Considering that some of these apps are at least a year, maybe 2 years old, the FOIDs might be expired. If you catch that, you might want to remind them. But we will. I normally review that on the day that they come in to pay, just to make sure that all of the FOID expirations are current.
Are we making any accommodation for applied for FOIDs that have not been processed yet due to the delay?
I believe we did on the last go around. If the individual had proof that he submitted it, I believe we took him at his word. Okay.
I'm in that condition. Mine's expired March 3rd.
Does that mean I'll delete you from the roster?
It could be.
Okay.
But
once you're happy with the individual, at least initially,
send an email to the membership that basically says applicant number. And that's the key. All these applications are numbered sequentially as they are generated. And I picked Jones because he's my idol.
Good idol.
And if number 123 Jones is okay, send it to him electronically. But we do need to follow up with the paperwork so that the interview form can get married with the traveler with the range safety check and everything. Once that's done. Okay. We will invite the applicant to register for the range safety check. Okay. Next one. The dates for the orientation are Saturday, July 18th, July 25th, August 8th, and August 15th. If you run the numbers, if we can fill those spots, that would be 220 new members if they all join. Don't know that we're going to be able to do that, but keep in mind that if we do get 220, right now we're a little over 2,400. 220 gets us up to 2620 or 2625, so somewhere up in there. We are still planning on having an orientation in October for the beginning of the fourth quarter. So being at 2620 last year, when we did this orientations in anticipation of losing members, we were up at 2629. I would love to be somewhere around 2650 going into renewals at the end of the year, or maybe even a little bit higher. Any questions on this?
Hey, Tony?
Yes, sir.
Is there any concern that due to the discontent of members over the COVID shutdown, that we might be looking at a higher attrition rate this coming year?
Maybe. I know one of the comments from the bookkeeper that she gave me a while back was she thought there was an inordinate amount of $180 open invoices from members that owed the 2020 assessment. Okay, and in the past, what we've seen historically is that if a member is planning on not renewing, he doesn't pay the assessment because he knows at the end of the year he's walking out. Now whether that runs true this time, I don't know. Which is another reason that if we go to the high end of the 2600s, we could afford to lose a few more, and hopefully make it up in March and April of 2021.
In your opinion, is the fact that people can do that a problem that needs addressing?
The bookkeeper would love it if the 2020 assessment was due at the beginning of 2020, because we do have a handful of members, believe it or not, that have their bank send us a $15 a month check every month that has to be processed. We have a handful of members that send it in quarterly. We have a handful of members that will send it in before the end of the year. What the bookkeeper has been doing over the last couple of months, and you guys may have heard some of the complaints, is she's cleaning out all of the old open invoices where you may have seen some of the complaints where the guy says, I got this invoice for $180, but I paid my dues and assessment back on January 23rd. Okay. Open up the transaction file. Yep, you did. You paid your 2020, but you never paid your 2019. So she's catching up on a lot of those. So
would it require a constitutional amendment to say make our assessments paid in full due, say June or July, something, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure you would need to do a constitutional amendment. That could actually be in the procedure for implementing assessments.
I mean, how much revenue do you, rough estimate, figure we're losing by people doing that? By not paying and say 10%, so then what, a fraction of that don't pay their assessment, or?
That'd be like $40,000, right?
I'm not sure it's that high. The only way to find out is the bookkeeper would have to run Glenn, correct me if I'm wrong. She could run a credit memo report and determine how many $180 invoices were credited out at the end of the year.
Could.
Okay.
Should I do that?
What's that?
Should I do that?
You could. Okay.
Okay.
I think we should know. I mean,
the other thing you have to keep in mind, the motion for the assessment says the assessment will be $15 per month. That's the motion that was passed. So having it paid up front, that would have to be a change for 2021.
I would think at the very least you should not be in the rears if that's how it's phrased. The idea you can pay your 12 months of assessment on the last day of the year seems silly.
Yep. But the way the current constitution is written, you have until the end of the next renewal cycle to pay up before being terminated.
Okay.
But hopefully that'll be one of the many issues that gets resolved in the future. The question that I held off asking until now is the success of bringing in 220 or more members is this group, the guys I'm talking to right now. Is there anybody here tonight that will not participate and help out interviewing these applicants?
Honestly, I'll do what I can, but I'm not making any promises. Just to be upfront, I got a lot on my plate. I know we all have a lot on our plate, but just being honest with you, I'll help when I can, where I can.
Well, you guys can do the math. Right now, there's 230 and applicants that who might be interested in being interviewed, and that number grows by one or two every single day between now and July. So the question, do the math.
It's about 15 applicants per board member.
why does the board have to do it all? I mean, when we do interviews normally in orientation, we have a ton of volunteers that come in that I see all the time.
The ton of volunteers, there are three. George Hubert has volunteered to help out. Greg Peckus has volunteered to help out. And I'm still working on Palmer, who says, I really need to look in the guy's face and talk to him before we let him hold a gun.
Well, if those three volunteers, that'll cover me, Bucolic, and Dean. So I think that sounds good.
No, I figured that covers Todd, Callis, and Jarris.
I can handle 15 if they want to be talked to at 6 in the morning.
Well, then that was the other thing I was just going to bring up, Dean. Maybe, Tony, the other question we should put on there is, what is the best time to call you? So we can try to align that with people when people would prefer to make calls. If there are 6 a.m. in the morning people, Dean would probably be your guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I could add that to that last slide that says, okay, 1 hour of the day or what turns you on.
Right.
And what day of the week?
You know, if it's 2 a.m., it's Bill coming home from the club, you know, so you can make those calls in the car.
The key item here is to get those early orientations, reservations for the range safety check filled.
All right. Anything else on membership?
That is it.
All right. Moving along. Old business. Anything from the Constitution Group to report, Tony?
Yeah, we have 4 more days on the survey. We have 1 officer and 3 board members that have not attempted to fill out the survey.
All right. Raise your hand if it's you.
Well, one of the board members can't because he opted out of a Survey Monkey survey way back when, and they will not let him back in.
Oh, shit.
That's Mr. Janka.
I'll get it done. Coronavirus, recession, carpal tunnel.
Well, you filled it out. What are you talking about, Mike?
I didn't.
No, you did.
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I filled it out for you, Mike.
You spent 3 minutes and
Give it to
30
Antifa.
You spent 3 minutes and 37 seconds filling it out.
I opened it. I looked
You
at it.
did. I will send it to you. Okay.
Russian bots.
The officer is he's waving his hand. Okay.
Stopped after an hour.
And I see
There wasn't a checkbox for any smart ass answers. That's why.
Jonathan and Ron were the other 2.
I thought I did it.
Hey, Jonathan.
No?
No.
All right, I'll do it.
Hey, John's here.
You might have been one of the 200 that hit the start button and never finished.
Maybe.
John did mine.
What time did you get on the call, John?
Oh, 8 when I thought the meeting started.
Mr. Secretary, if you can make a note of that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'm just listing him as absent.
Jonathan, the general meeting started 8. The board meetings always start at 7.
Yes, that's my bad. I'll
Like the beard.
Oh, thanks. I'll take my reparation do over this month. Next month.
Too soon.
Hey, Jonathan, your chance of getting reparations for this group are right up there with slim and none.
Yeah, seriously, right? Did
Right.
you see that thing? A guy wanted to give out 350,000. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. It's like $17 trillion.
Hey, it's only money. The government can print more.
Yeah, right.
Moving along. If Rich is listening on John's phone, do you have anything from the voting committee, Rich?
Get that
From the what committee?
from the committee for the Constitution here.
No, the
Electronic voting.
Electronic
Voting, I'm sorry, voting.
I talked to Hodel about it, and he thinks the only really good way to go is in-person voting.
All right. Are you working on any type of recommendations for ways to improve that, improve member access to that?
Couldn't hear the question, Jeff.
Rich, would you, or Eric, repeat it, please?
Are you guys working on coming up with some recommendations to increase member access, to make voting easier if you're thinking in person is the way to go?
Yeah, if we're going to move it closer, I think that would probably answer the question if we have it in Naperville.
All right. Can you bring to the next board meeting, can you bring a written proposal that we can kind of knock around?
All right.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
What would happen if by January we are not into stage 5 and we can't have that many members in a meeting room?
So for voting per se, so number one, if we don't amend the Constitution, we can't change what it is right now, right? So that's, I think, the first hurdle that we have to get over.
Sure.
Right? Provided we get over that hurdle and are allowed to change the method by which we do voting, even in an in-person vote, right? If the ballot was prepared, right, the nominating, I think, would be more trickier than the voting. You could essentially have drive-by voting where, folks could stand in a line 6 feet apart, walk up, show their ID, pick up a ballot. Yeah. It's going to be more difficult for sure, but I think that could be managed. Ed?
Well, there's going to be an election somewhere in November. Whatever the city and the state does, we should be able to follow what they're doing. First of all. Second of all, I'll make a call to the church again, just to keep in contact and tell them, we're still thinking about them once this lockdown is over with.
Yeah.
Just to keep in the pot.
Yeah, we should definitely need to keep our communication lines with them open.
Depending on when the proposed revised constitution, well, depending on when we can discuss it and vote on it, if it gets approved, one of the things that received an overwhelming vote of support was moving the annual meeting to March.
And I think the other thing that is related to that, it is not unforeseeable that we could go to full open, right? Phase 4 or 5, and then have a rollback right. And voting is in the middle of winter, they could start rolling it backwards. So, I mean,
yep.
Just because we get opened up doesn't mean it's going to stay that way either. Right. So, I would really like to see, in whatever way we amend the Constitution, and at least from some of the conversations I've heard, right, allowing the board to be flexible with how they wish to have elections proceed, rather than have it being kind of spelled out explicitly in the Constitution. I think that's something that, if it was explained well to members, I think we could get some support behind.
Yep.
Because I don't think members would be very excited about not having an election. Right. That obviously smacks of fascism. So, and for all the members who are listening, or on the YouTube feed, this is something that I'm very serious about, and I know the board is serious about, but you have to realize that under the current situation, there's only so much we can do. So, we will do what we can to try to make things work. And that's kind of the best we can promise right now. So thank you, Rich. New business, zombie shoot. You take the floor, zombie boy.
Okay, so we've been watching all this stuff. Looks like we're heading into phase 4, whatever, opening. We're going to hit a drop time on being able to promote zombie shoot. At this juncture, I'm inclined to go ahead with everything like we always have.
All right, so
okay.
I'm trying to think of how to phrase my question.
Well, I mean, in the past, we've had a no refunds general policy.
Yeah.
I think we would make maybe a exception if we go back into a complete lockdown, to where they say, the state's coming out saying you can't do X or Y. We're going to try to plan things a little differently this year, but barring that, at the rate we're going, we're an outdoor range, outdoor facility, and we've got the whole place.
All right. So if we're in phase 5, obviously that's kind of a non-issue, more or less. If we're only in phase 4 in September, I'm thinking about not even so much the participants, but the range officers. We're going to kind of have to mandate masks for range officers. All right. And I'm ready to look at Bucolic and see steam coming out of his ears. Right. But in a public event, I don't know how we would not do that. And if we place that restriction on people, are they going to be willing to participate?
We're going to have to work through it.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, so, okay, well, first we've got a smaller event, which is the Lynch Shoot is now August 22nd. Then we've got Zombie, and then we've got 22, which are both large events. And assuming it's very likely will be in 4, but not phase 5, because that means like fucking Christ has risen again and fucking everyone's scared and whatnot. It's just not likely to happen unless you know, the governor gets, you know, overruled by the courts or something. So we have to keep it in mind that we have to just sort of incorporate some policies. I know, you know, getting guys to run shooters all day and wear a mask all day is going to be more difficult for me to pull guys in and to keep them there all day. But if that's what it takes to put on the events, then I guess that's what it takes.
Well, look, here's the thing. We just had a week worth of riots and protests. 14 days from now, we're going to know if there's a spike or not.
I mean, we could have it be a protest event, and then none of that matters.
So, and whatever that is true. I mean, obviously that's the case, Todd. But my bigger concern is it's a fairly large non-member event, and all you need is one person to go run into the county going, nobody over there is wearing masks. I had to leave.
I don't know. I was in the grocery store today. I was in the convenience store, and half the people weren't wearing masks.
I don't disagree with that, Dean. I'm not trying to, you know, have a fantasy here, right? There's reality, and then there's protecting the club. What would be the reaction for our members if we had to shut the club back down because we had an event, somebody complained to the county, and because we weren't following policy?
So then I would say that we shouldn't open up to the guests because we don't know who those guests are. They could be a plant to come in and try to close us down.
All I'm saying is Zombie Shoot's a big public event. That's all I'm saying. Mike.
Yeah, so like I said, I think we have to keep that in mind and kind of have that in our back pocket of what we feel the climate is at the time as we're getting close to the event. And if we're going to move forward, we need to have a provision for what we will do if the climate hasn't changed. It's my guess that especially out by us, you're going to start seeing some bigger events, you know, tractor shows, this, that, and the other that are going to start going on because people are fucking done. But if that's not the case, or for whatever case, we feel like we need to be a little more careful about our perception and handling it, then we just need to have that planned.
All right, I'm sorry. I just got an email seconds ago from Brandon saying I never got an email to join.
I should have used that one.
Why did he wait until 8:20 to send you an email?
Yeah.
Todd, what do you think your drop dead date is to make a decision to go forward on Zombie?
I think we need to be in full swing for advertising come July 4th.
Okay, so you have about 3 weeks, 3 weeks.
Because we're going to need to start doing all that stuff now. I need the next 3 weeks to start planning that all out. I mean,
That's why I was asking.
What it's made it work for the last couple of years is we've done a phenomenal amount of social media advertising, which has really kicked things up. It's not the printed posters or any of that other stuff. So we have a hand there. I think with everything that's going on, it's going to be an easier sell this year. But I think that as we've been practicing, with PR and other stuff, it's going to be crowd control, crowd management is going to be, the trickier part of it. We're just going to have to lay things out to try to make that happen. So that's it. But yeah, if we're not moving on this by July 4th, it is going to get extreme, because July 4th gives me August 4th, September 4th.
Yeah,
That's
like 6 weeks.
That's 60 days to promote the event. We really need to be on it now.
And that's fine. I have no problem with it, with getting on with it and promoting it. And if we, something changes, we had to do it, obviously we'll issue refunds. But I agree. If we're going to have it, even if we're even thinking about having it, we got to start yesterday. Yeah, John.
As far as going back to Mike with the wearing the masks and such, we're in a big enough area that people can take their turns pulling the mask down just around their neck, have a chance to breathe in that. There's enough people working different stations. We could do that, so they don't have to wear this thing in hot weather, the whole time. It's that 6 foot thing, if you will. That's one way to accommodate the workers. As long as they have it around their neck, at least no one can say they weren't wearing anything.
We could also offer a mask for everybody that registers or comes in and pays.
Give them a discount if they wear their own gas mask.
Yeah.
Or give everyone a free biohazard friggin' logo zombie shoot mask instead of a patch, Todd, a friggin' mask.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
An ASC mask. ASC mask.
All right. So go ahead and get on with it, Todd.
All right.
I got to switch back.
We don't need a formal motion on that, do we,
No,
guys?
it was already an event. If we're not going to cancel it, I don't think we need a motion.
All right.
Go back and find my agenda again. I'd switched off of it. General membership meetings. Going back, this comes up to this Saturday, right? And it's obviously related to the zombie shoot thing of how many people can we have in an enclosed space. How long are we prepared to not have general member meetings for? And when I say that, what I mean by that is at most of our general meetings, we are hovering right around 50, including us, right?
Yes.
Members and board. If you get 51, now you're kind of screwed. And I don't like it kind of any more than anybody else, but I'm looking for somebody who's got a better idea on how we could perhaps accommodate this. I think about it, I don't say daily, but several times a week, trying to come up with something. This Saturday, I came up with this idea of having a outdoor meeting to give us our space, just to kind of pull off this constitutional amendment thing that we need. We have to do this. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad for us, I think, come turn of the year. So, does anybody have any thoughts about how to do this and make it any better?
Well, if you hit 51, I'll volunteer to leave the meeting and go home.
You could issue tickets through Eventbrite.
I thought about that, but then you're excluding members. I don't know if we have the right to tell a member you cannot come.
Well, are we the ones telling them that they cannot come, or is JB telling them they cannot come?
JB's telling them.
Say again, Ed?
JB is telling them not to come, not us.
Yeah, I know. I'm really struggling with this whole idea, right? It's just not who we are. And I feel really bad. Yeah, Mr. Conti.
We could, I suppose, do it outside of the clubhouse itself on a grass area. Of course, we're at risk with the weather, and darkness will come with us. But you know, it is summertime. We still get somewhat light until about 9 o'clock. That's possible. I know we can't use the inside of the building. I don't know if something could be put up to use as a projection on the door or anything, but that's one alternative. And that way we can get a lot of people on there, or, you know, on the grass area, that is.
Is that still classified as one area? And this is a discussion we have at school all the time. What is an area, right? 50 people in an area. They don't define what that is. You know,
No, they don't.
obviously-
And, you know, that goes in line with zombie shoot or anything else that we do. We open a club on a weekend, there's more than 50 people, more than 50 people
right
in one area, which is the ASC
But I think
club.
you can at least make the argument that a bay is an area,
Oh, yeah.
True.
right? Yeah, Bill.
What happens if you did it at the church in Naperville and you did, like you said, sign ups? The first 50 people are signed up for June. And then in July, if you went to June, you couldn't do July unless there were open spots. At least that would give different people every month the opportunity to attend a meeting. Let's say there's 10 board members who come. There's 40 open slots every month for 40 different members to come in and participate in a meeting at the church in Naperville that Ed has set up.
What's the cost to rent the small room over there, Ed? Do you remember?
200. It's 2, 3, and 5. 200 for their theater, 300 for their auditorium, and 500 for their 900 seat auditorium.
Okay. Bucolic?
I don't know how many people here have run something through, be it Practice Score, Eventbrite, what have you, but it is a rare day that everyone that signed up shows up. And now you're excluding members that could have been there because someone signed up for that spot and didn't show.
And that these are all real things. Yeah, Todd?
Well, the thing I don't like about Bill's idea is that if something gets voted on, the people are excluded from a vote.
Correct. That's kind of what I was getting at with my question.
So pick whatever it is. They decide they want to paint the interior of the range building pink, you know, and there's a vote on it. Then, you know, you exclude members from that. That's where I think it becomes problematic.
Yeah.
That you know, assign, because it's never going to be the same issues addressed, or maybe a guy that's addressing an issue, the guy that has the answer isn't there, or vice versa. I don't think that's a workable solution. And to be honest with you, I know everybody's getting wrapped around the axle about this 50-person thing because that's what the state is saying. But given what they didn't do in Chicago or in Naperville or Aurora, I've about had my fill with their 50-person limit on shit. I understand that the difference is you can't go sue rioters and protesters or whatever. They're not even attempting to sue the organizations that were promoting that, and we're a corporation, so we're a fixed place or a lot easier to come after. But I think there's a lot of people that are just getting fed up with this stuff, and I think they're hitting their limit rapidly.
You with us, Bill Vest? Bill Vest.
Are we going to have to put a remote AD on him?
There he goes. All right. No, we can continue now. So
That counts as
but
CPR,
I
Eric.
don't even know if somebody will rent your room though, Todd, if you tell them you're going to have more than 50.
I get that. I'm just.
So, all right. And we do have one comment, Bill Clark, thank you, Mr. Clark. I don't know him, at least not immediately. He says in the comments, it's clear that the BOD is doing everything they can to make ASC operate at its fullest capacity given the restrictions during the pandemic. So I do appreciate that. And I do, you know, it's been a very odd year for all of us. So I appreciate you guys giving us a little bit of grace on that. Yeah, Bill.
What happens, Eric, if you did like a video every month that people could watch on YouTube or whatever, kind of doing a meeting with some of the topics? Tony could have his piece, Ross could have his, go over some of the things wherever we're at, dates that are coming up. I wonder if that's some kind of informative YouTube, something from you that they could visually watch would be a step in the right direction.
I've thought about that. And I'm going to tell you my concern, and you can tell me I'm an idiot. My concern is I can't even get newsletter articles from people. Am I going to get videos?
I don't think you're an idiot. At least I won't tell you that now. But I just think, I think that would be one way to communicate. We haven't even had a newsletter in a while, just to get something out to our members saying, this is what's going on. We've got some information. We got ranges to talk about. You've got a shoot happening tomorrow night. We do have some things that we could get out to the members. At least get them some information is better than no information.
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah, and I would be happy to coordinate that. And I guess if people don't submit anything, then they don't submit anything, right?
I think a little video from the president would go a long way to say, hey, we're back open running. This is what's been happening. I think that would go a long way.
And now that we are running again, we do need to get that newsletter fired back up.
Yeah.
When's the next newsletter going to go out? Then?
The 22nd. It's the due date for articles is always the 22nd for the next month.
Okay.
All right. And I believe I've got on the agenda, Rich Smith is supposed to be doing the article for July.
Copy that, Rich.
We all signed up kind of at the January meeting there.
That's correct. I just don't know what I'm gonna do yet.
All right.
So you're doing the 22nd, Rich.
And you could send out the ones that were done in the past.
Yes,
the April,
absolutely.
the May.
Yeah, make sure that the newsletter editor has those.
Mike Pollock said he volunteered to do theirs for him.
So, who said that?
I'm
Dean.
sure.
What did you say, Dean?
I said Mike was going to volunteer for him.
Yeah. All right. So going back to meetings. So we've got this meeting coming up on Saturday. Who plans to be there?
I will be.
Tony. All right. So you're gonna have the badge reader to check in, Tony?
Yeah.
No,
No.
not unless you got a generator. That's an XP with
We have a generator.
Out there.
We have a generator.
I've got one on the fuel wagon.
Right. Somehow we need to record who's present.
Well, we either do it on paper with a paper sign in or the XP with a questionable battery.
Whichever you prefer, sir.
We have a light generator sitting up in the barn.
Okay, that doesn't do me any good on the range.
Well, I know we can get it to the range. It's portable.
Who's the we?
I can do it.
Thank you.
I've got one on the fuel wagon. That's not a problem.
There's also power at the gate. There's also a receptacle at the gate, a 110 receptacle at the gate underneath the breaker box.
Gate's going to be open because Jonathan's got a PPR chute.
Right. So it'd be open, so you would be able to still plug into it.
All right. So I'm looking at the calendar here. I need to pick a bay. So let me get to that day. 13th. $600 and the 200 are used. Don't care about that. Shotgun, that's
E6
fine.
through 9 are open, I believe, on Saturday.
That's what I'm just looking at. E2 is used. E4.
Why not the shotgun shelter?
Say again, Dean?
Why not use the shotgun shelter? We have power there. And
Because 25 people are not going to be able to social distance inside of your shotgun shelter.
No, but you can use the shotgun shelter to check them in
And then have the meeting where?
the parking lot.
You're going to shut down shooting while we have the meeting?
Well, there's no shooting down by the shelter.
But my point is, if people are walking around, and they don't have their ear pro on, it's going to be hard to hear what anybody's saying if people are shooting.
Right.
That's kind of my point.
Well, you don't wear ear stuff down there anyway.
Maybe I don't know what the heck you're talking about, Dean.
Well, the parking lot, down the parking lot, no one's wearing any ear protection.
No, and I'm not saying it's going to be dangerous to your hearing, but you're going to hear if people are shooting shotgun and you and I are talking, you're going to hear bang, 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 bang. And it's gonna be hard to
When you
keep.
hear that at the base,
I'm sorry?
when you hear that at the base, or you talking about the east side?
I was talking
East
about
side.
the east side. I'm not, I mean, if you guys think that that will work better, I'm not opposed to anything. That's just kind of my immediate reaction to that.
It seems like E9 is a good fit for that.
I agree. E9 is pretty big.
So what is E9 the one right behind the 200?
No, it's behind a 50-foot or a 25-yard bay.
The 100
All
yard
right,
bay.
because the 200 is going to have 4 or 5 stages banging steel nonstop.
Yeah, no, we'll be over.
We'll be north of that.
All right, so let's plan on E9.
Right.
Right, because the generator's already back there, right, Todd?
It will be. It's over at the Arc right now.
All right, so we can do that. We can do check-in right there at the tables. Right, there's some tables, range tables there. We just have people stand, right? And remember, I'm hoping this whole thing takes 15 minutes. Is my hope, right? From 1 to 1:15 is what I'm shooting for. Yeah, Ed.
Yeah, I've got so far. I'm planning a qualification on the shared range with precision rifle, and right now I've already got 6 or 7 guys that have called me to be there. I told them to plan on hanging around so we have enough people for a quorum for your meeting.
Yeah, and I've got a number of emails and messages too. I don't think we're going to have a problem meeting quorum.
Okay.
John has actually offered if we have to get a quorum to kind of shut down for 15 minutes while we do it so we can grab some guys.
Okay.
But I really don't think that's going to be a problem. I wouldn't mind just driving up and down the range road, letting people know too, right beforehand.
I just think it's sort of amusing that we can dragoon people to come over to make a quorum. It says a lot, you know?
So, right. But the idea here is we want to suspend the rule that says we have to do Constitution, right, in June and July, because we just can't do that in a fair way right now.
No.
Right.
The bottom line, right?
I
think, go ahead and speak to it, Mike. You were kind of working on it.
I will tell you that when I talked to Chuck Pavicic about it, yeah, I'm responsible for some of the billing this month too. Chuck thought it was not only, it was a very clever way of getting around the problem that we had because of the way the Constitution was prepared 15 years ago, that we didn't plan for the freaking pandemic. It's probably longer ago than that. So we are okay from a legal viewpoint on the issue to table the recommendation. And the recommendation, I left it sort of ambiguous at the end. It's the first motion I've written with a preamble because we point out that this is being done in an extraordinary circumstance because of the pandemic and the executive orders restricting the gatherings, so that we can do this in a relatively much better fashion coming up, a couple of months from now, hopefully.
Hopefully is right. So the other thing that I'm concerned with, and it's not specifically with the motion, I guess I could be wrong, but I don't see this as being a highly controversial topic. My concern is, let's say we open back up, right? We can start having meetings again in October. November is even worse, right? Where we do that. Now we can do November, propose amendments, December, ratify amendments, and nominate for elections. And it's going to be a whole lot in a row, kind of depending on how this calendar works out.
Yeah.
So I think that's just something we need to be prepared for. And that's why having a voting thing kind of ready to go in our pocket, Rich, is going to be a big deal. So anybody have anything else that they want to add about the meeting on Saturday?
Nope.
And Mike got up and walked away. So Mike is going to be at the PPR match, but he said he'd walk over and do the minutes and record on that as well. So I plan to be out there around noonish just to make sure everything's ready to rock and roll. All right. Boom. Let me go back to the agenda here. Too many windows open. Still not there. Come on. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. I already talked to Rich. So that's it. That's all I have for regular session business. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order that was not on the agenda?
Nope.
If not, can I get a motion to enter into executive session, please?
Motion.
Ed
Second.
motions. All right. So let's say Todd did the motion. Ed seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you for all of our guests. I'm going to kick you out of the meeting now and stop the stream. As always, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to the appropriate department or you can reach out to me specifically and I'll make sure your message gets to the right person. Have a great night and try to make it out on Saturday.